Welcome everyone to the free anxiety relief workshop. My name is Janelle Briggs. I am a Thrive mindset coach and I'm so excited to be able to share this information with you today. I want to jump in and add as much value as I can in this short 1 hour that we have together. And I'm so grateful that we get to go deep and talk about a topic that is very close to my heart, and that is how to find relief from anxiety. After today, you are going to walk away with two things. First thing, a better understanding of your mind, how it works, where anxiety actually comes from. And the second thing is not just one, but 5 practical, tangible tools that you can walk away with and apply straight away today that are going to help you to relieve your anxiety. So who's excited to listen and learn today? Amazing. So if we haven't personally met before or you're new to following me, I am a qualified coach. I'm trained in a style of coaching called NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistics Programming, and I am a timeline therapy practitioner. So I'm going to explain more about those two things as we go through the content today as well during the session. So the main thing that I want to share with you now is that I've come to realize that my purpose in this world is to empower women who are feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and held back by their fears and anxiety, to learn how to take back control and regain your confidence by rebuilding your mindset so that you can see and feel and look at life and begin to thrive again. First off, I want to say that your anxiety is very, very real. What you feel and experience is 100% real. I'm not going to spend our time today telling you just to relax, stop worrying about things. All you have to do is practice self-care or stop overthinking everything in your life and it'll go away. I'm sure you've heard that before. Because let's be honest, I'm sure you've already tried that. You wouldn't be here if it was as simple as booking in a spa treatment or having a sick day off work and shutting off those worried thoughts. I can 100% validate that living with anxiety is really rough. Some of the toughest days of my life I have spent paralyzed in bed or on my couch in fits of tears with my racing thoughts just stuck there, trapped in my own overthinking mind. And I want to share my story with you of how I came to overcome my anxiety, because I do believe you can overcome anxiety. And what my clients tell me that they love about coaching is that they feel really, really understood because I have walked the road before. And so therefore then they know that there is hope for them too. So here I am sharing my journey with you to inspire you in some way today. Today, I want to empower you with knowledge and share the things that I have learned and the tools that I have used to break free from my anxiety, so that when your anxiety triggers, you can feel less alone, less scared, less like this is a lifetime sentence or some terrible dream that you cannot wake up from, because I know that's how I used to feel. And I share with you my story because I want you to know that everyone who's watching this replay, everyone in this room, we are all equal. We all come from different backgrounds. We have different stories. We're different nationalities, cultures, different families, different careers. We work in a mix of varying industries. But the one thing that we have in common is that I'm sure you can all understand and you can relate to the pain, the burden, the sleepless nights, and the effect, the confusion, the suffering, I could go on forever, that anxiety has inflicted on our lives and the ripple effect that it has had on our loved ones. The only difference between you and I is that I'm sitting here in this chair and I'm a few steps further along on my path. I've been doing the work for a little bit longer, but I started out exactly where you are. And I want this to be a safe space for you to learn and grow and to really start to open your mind to new ways of thinking. So I'm hoping that if you have any questions, you feel free to shoot them through to me. You can email me at hello@janellebriggs.com if anything that I've shared today is not clear, or reach out to me on Instagram, JanelleBriggs_Thrive, and shoot me a DM. I'd be more than happy to chat with you. My hope today, though, is that even if you can't process all of the information that I share, that you take one thing away. and that is that help is available for you. You do not have to go this alone. All right. So let's jump into it. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to show you the agenda and what we're going to cover today. And then I've got some slides that I want to share with you. So I'm going to just share my screen. So I may flick back and forth. So excuse me if it's a little bit clunky on the recording that you're watching. And here we go. All right. So, okay. So I've welcomed you. We've met. Hopefully you can see my screen. Amazing. So let's get into it. I have a short little disclaimer that I want to share with you. And this is just to say that I am not a licensed medical professional. I'm not diagnosing. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not diagnosing to say whether you have, you know, anxiety disorder or not. This is not what this is about. I am, as I've mentioned, a NLP mindset coach, and I'm sharing with you my experience about anxiety with the tools and techniques I have learned in the modality of coaching that I have been trained in. So just to be very clear on that, you're coming into this session because you want to learn how to, the tools and techniques that I share with you. The agenda for today. So number one, we are going to talk about the power of the mind-body connection. We are going to go through, secondly, what triggers anxiety. So the key things that I find, and I work with women, that I find are the triggers for anxiety in today's women. Number three, we're going to talk about anxiety relief tools, not one, but 5 of my favorite anxiety relief tools, as I mentioned before. And at the very end, I'm going to share with you a little bit of information about further support if you are wondering what the next steps are. When I get to the end of this workshop, a lot of women ask me, what are the next steps? How can I work with you? How can I find more support for my anxiety? So I'll share that with you at the very end. So stay tuned, because I also have a workshop bonus as well for you. So let's jump into it. So this is your beautiful, messy mind. And I want to kick off and talk about the power of the mind, because it's really important. I'm just going to move you over here so I can talk to you. It's really important that I share with you how the mind works. Your mind is really the most powerful tool that you have and that you will ever come across. And once you can understand it, get to know it, learn how to tame it, it will honestly be your biggest ally to finding that peace, freedom, and happiness that you really want. So this is your beautiful mind in all your messy and complicated glory. And 95% of the time, your mind is actually working unconsciously. And what I mean by that is that 5% of your mind is only consciously aware. This is what science and research and psychology tells us, that 5% of your mind is working consciously. And what that means is that you are consciously aware of the thoughts, actions, and habits that are going on in your life. You're making conscious choices and decisions. You're thinking and talking about things rationally. 95% of the time, your unconscious mind is running the show. And your unconscious mind is where we have faithfully stored our core belief system, our feelings, and the domain of our emotions. This is where all of your memories are stored on what we call a timeline of your life. And those memories are stored and indexed in the unconscious part of your mind based on time, thought, feeling, emotion, and the experience is stored. So this is the unconscious mind, is really where your thoughts actually begin. And I'm sharing this with you because every thought that you have today, all 60 to 80,000 of them, is filtered by your belief system. So these are the things that we are taught by our parents, by society, what school told you, maybe what your first employer told you, opinions, labels that were passed on to you when you were young. And this belief system is stored in the unconscious part of your mind. Your past memories and events that you've been through are faithfully stored there, and your emotional experiences, both positive and negative. Okay, so that is the domain of your unconscious mind. Now, I'll explain it in a different way. Have you ever noticed that you don't really have any control over that first anxious thought that comes up? that first negative or worried thought, bam, comes out of nowhere. You're going along, you're living your day, or you're sleeping, and boom, all of a sudden, one thought wakes you up, one thought immediately when you wake up in the day, and all of a sudden that thought sparks another thought and another thought and another thought until you're down a rabbit hole of what ifs and scenario planning, orchestrating every worst possible case scenario going wrong, often catastrophizing. That's because that first thought that you have, that first fearful or worried thought or negative thought that you have, comes from that unconscious part of your mind that I was talking about, that has you literally running on autopilot, which is why you've got the visual here on the screen today. So, running on autopilot. I feel like Joe Dispenza, who, if you haven't heard from him, he is an author and an amazing neuroscientist. He explains it best. And how he talks about it is that 95% of who we are by the age of 35 is a set of memorized behaviors and unconscious habits, beliefs, perceptions, emotions, and reactions that have been hardwired in and function like a computer program. And they loop around in our mind again and again and again until a time where we decide to interrupt that pattern, change our behaviors, change our habits, change our thought patterns. And if we don't, then we will continue on autopilot again and again and again. So what I see in coaching is that some stage between the age of, we get into our 30s, maybe mid 30s, maybe sometimes younger, maybe sometimes older. For me, it was 39. And we begin to wake up and realize that how we're operating, my programming, my habits, my beliefs, my thoughts, my triggered emotions all the time, the anxiety that I'm feeling, this is no longer working for me. And so this is why freeing yourself from anxiety isn't as easy as telling yourself, don't worry about it, because you've been operating on this program for a very, very long time. I hope that makes sense. It was really mind-blowing for me when I realized that. And so we have to interrupt the pattern of your thoughts and reprogram that computer system and how it's operating in the unconscious part of our mind, the part of our mind that is running on autopilot to see any results. And we often just look at the aftermath or the symptoms and we stick a Band-Aid over it and expect something to change long term. But if you really want to break the grip that anxiety has on your life, then we have to shift our thought patterns first and foremost. So I'm going to explain it in a slightly different way too. So I'm going to talk about the mind-body connection. And here's how anxiety comes into the picture. Has anyone ever heard before the saying, what you think about, you bring about? Most people use the terminology when they're thinking about manifesting good things in their life. Like, think about that beautiful job that you want with a great boss coming into your life, or, imagine what your, new house is going to be like, or that romantic relationship that you want. So when we focus our mind on what we want, we start to bring in to our life the things that we actually want. However, what happens is that it also happens on the flip side as well. What you think about in terms of negative, so if you're thinking about fear and worry all the time, it will start to attract more of those things into your life. Okay, so it works the other way too. So in simple terms, your thoughts running on autopilot is what is beginning to trigger your anxiety. Okay, so here's how it works. So when that first negative thought comes up, comes from the unconscious part of your mind. I hope that that's clear now that I've explained that. So that first negative thought that comes up, maybe you're thinking about your insane to-do list for the day, or all the things that you didn't get done yesterday, or maybe you're thinking about, seeing people in large crowds, or, having a difficult conversation with your boss, or even the argument that you had with your partner last night. And this thing that we're thinking about not only, doesn't normally have really a happy ending, does it? It's always like a worst case scenario, like everything going bad. So usually it's a really urgent, persistent, loud, worried thought about something going wrong in the future. So this thought, you're at the top of the screen there, triggers an emotion in you. It triggers a fear. And that emotion of fear then triggers a response in your body. Okay, so we're going around the circle. Your body then drops stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, because it wants to push you into fight, flight, or freeze response mode. It says, oh my gosh, she's thinking about something, it's causing her fear. I'm going to drop those stress hormones because we need to get her to move. It's saying danger, danger, round up the troops, and your brain is flooded with those stress hormones. And you are programmed to deal with the fear. And it does this because your body's highest purpose is to preserve itself. It will do anything it can to keep you safe, but it cannot ascertain whether the thing that you were thinking about at 5 o'clock in the morning is a real danger or just a worst case scenario your mind is imagining. The problem then is that these hormones have just flooded the body and they have nowhere to go. So anxiety is the symptoms that you feel after the effects of those hormones have flooded the body. You aren't running from something. You're not fighting a bear that you can see. There's no imminent danger. You're likely just lying in bed thinking about something, thinking about something going terribly wrong. Who's with me? Who's been there before? I hope that you're with me so far. Okay, good. So anxiety is your body's alarm system. And the common symptoms that we feel when our anxiety has been triggered by those stress hormones is feeling nervous and tense, a sense of impending panic or doom. Our heart rate increases, our breathing gets rapid, sweating, trembling, feeling exhausted, racing thoughts, trouble concentrating, no appetite, all of the above. So you may have one, you may have all of them. In any way, shape or form, reading that list, they all suck. I can tell you now, they are no fun to deal with. So I hope that you're with me, and if that gives you a little bit more of an understanding of where anxiety comes from, it is our body's response to how you are processing the fear-based emotion. So next, I want to talk about what specifically triggers your anxiety. As I've just explained, it's our thoughts that trigger anxiety. Typically, the most common thought triggers that I see working with clients in this space, that first unconscious thought that comes up is typically or usually about future. So it's something that's happening or coming up in the future that causes us to feel that anxiety around, something that we're feeling uncertain about or unknown about that sparks the fear. For some reason, at some stage in your life, your mind has learned to react, respond, and behave in a certain way, in the same way, in an anxious response to uncertainty or in an anxious response to the unknown. And it will continue to react and respond exactly the same way on that program until the program loop has been interrupted. What I was just speaking about before, we interrupt the pattern of thought and we do some reprogramming on that fear-based thinking, until which time you decide that you're going to break the chain and you're going to release the fear and create a new program of thought so that you begin to see different outcomes. You may resonate with one or both of those fears. You may have, take a moment to think about your anxiety. Is it future-based? Does it spike when you're experiencing times of uncertainty or something that's coming up that's unknown? Maybe you can share with me, shoot me an email, shoot me a DM, and let me know whether this has brought up for you a realization of where your anxiety is coming from. Typically about the fear of the future. There are many other types of fear as well. So in my life, I'll just quickly share with you that I had a fear of uncertainty. I also had a fear of failure and a fear of criticism that would spike my anxiety at work. So there are other fears, but typically in an anxiety program, we're working on that fear of the future to remove that. So we've just been through the biggest anxiety-inducing event of our lifetime, I believe, that we will hopefully ever have, having lived through the pandemic. With so much uncertainty and unknowns, we've made it this far, and I'm really proud of you for being so brave because you are still here. Even though we have been through so much, you're still here, and I'm so, so grateful for that. The second thing I want to share that I think is really important, that it's not something that was ever taught to me when I was originally learning about anxiety through medical professionals. And that is that through the study of NLP and timeline therapy, I've learned that a huge byproduct of this fear of the unknown and uncertainty that triggers our anxiety is an incessant need to control. Have you ever been called controlling or a control freak? As a perfectionist, I knew that I just needed to get in and control everyone and everything. And it would exhaust me and burn me out and wear me out because I would take on too much. It would cause me anxiety when I couldn't control everything. So it's a vicious loop. Another form of, control is perfectionism, because the mind says, if I can't have everything under control in a straight line, everything in its place, in its box, and all mapped out, and if everyone just did what I said, stick to my plan, follow along, then all would be certain and I wouldn't be feeling this angst. I wouldn't be feeling this worry. Everything would play out how it's supposed to. There wouldn't be any unknowns, and then I wouldn't have any fear anymore, right? Then, oh my God, my anxiety will go away. It literally changed my life when I realized that my controlling behaviors, my perfectionism, the way I always wanted to have everything going my way, the way I reacted and responded, lose my banana over things, is because I'm just trying to alleviate my fear so I don't feel anxious anymore. Mind blowing. I'm not a bad person. Neither are you. I'm not a control freak. Neither are you. And I'm not crazy. Neither are you. My mind has just been programmed to not like the unknown, to not like uncertainty. And so I just need to learn how to reprogram it so I can release the need to have control over everyone and everything in my life. And so I did. And that's, my friends, why I believe that you can find freedom from your anxiety. Heal the fear, release the control, and your life will be changed. This may be a little controversial to what you've been told before, but I don't believe anxiety is a life sentence that you have to learn how to manage for the rest of your life. I believe that you can overcome it. And so this is why I'm here doing the work that I do, showing you what's possible and, helping my clients who work one-on-one with me to understand how that all works. So we've covered a lot of education so far. I hope that you're finding this interesting. I've shared my story with you. We've talked about the power of the mind-body connection. We've talked about fear triggers. So I want to now share with you part 3, which is our anxiety release tools. We've talked about the mind. We now have an understanding of where anxiety comes from and how our body responds to the thoughts we're thinking. So how do we do it? How do we find relief from these thought patterns? So let's talk about getting you some relief. Here are my top 5 ways to release your fear and get your mind back to thriving. You might want to write these down because I'm going to move through them quickly, and I've got a slide to show you at the end just as a recap. So first things first, your thoughts can be changed. Number 1, your thoughts can be changed. If thoughts are the triggers that alert your body anxiety response, the alarm system goes off, the good news is that your thoughts can be changed. And right now, at this moment in time, you may not have any control over that first worried thought that comes up from the unconscious part of your mind. But I want to tell you that you absolutely 100% can take control over your second thought before you spiral, before the fear is triggered. You have the power within you to do this. And that is what mindset coaching is all about. It takes some practice. You have to, number 1, catch the first thought when it comes up. Here it comes again. Oh, where's that thought coming from? I'm doing it again. I'm doing that thing Janelle was talking about. I want you to begin to be the observer of your thoughts. Why am I thinking this? Where is this thought coming from? Catch it, takes you off autopilot before you spiral down a rabbit hole, telling yourself, and I want you to tell yourself that this thought isn't real. This outcome is not set in stone. That thing that I'm about to start thinking about going wrong is not set in stone. It's not real. That is how you take control over the second thought and you shift your mindset. You shift away and you call out the fear. Number 2, feelings are not facts. When you feel that first spark of angst begin to creep in from that thought and that uneasy feeling begins, stop yourself and ask your body, what specifically is causing you to feel this way? and remind yourself that feelings are not facts. Step outside the picture and ask yourself what is real here and what is not. Is the thought that I'm having about this thing I'm imagining going wrong in the future, is that real? This feeling of fear that I have, is it because of the unknown or is it because of uncertainty? Call it out and then scale it out of 10. How likely is this thing actually to happen? Be realistic. Have a good hard chat with yourself. If you're having a good chat with yourself anyway, thinking about all the worst possible case scenarios going wrong, then it's time to take back control of your mind and start having a chat to yourself. If you're thinking to yourself, that this is a mess that you can't get out of, then I want you to put pen to paper and get everything that's going on up here onto paper, so it's out of your mind and you've purged it onto paper. All the feelings, all the emotions that you're feeling, why am I feeling this way? Put it onto paper and get really clear on why you're feeling this way, what you're experiencing, and what is truth, what is the fact about the situation. Number 3, fear is false evidence appearing real. So let's use the power of our mind to stop overthinking every negative part of the situation in the future going wrong. Catch yourself and instead imagine every element going right. If driving sparks fear in you because of all the unknowns and you're worried about traffic and you're worried about if you have an accident, and if you're worried about all the things that are going wrong when you're driving somewhere, then if you've not been there for the first time, okay, so it's an unknown and you're driving somewhere, then I want you to catch that thought process and call it out. Not today, fear, false evidence appearing real. There's no evidence to say that I will get lost. There's no evidence to say that I will have an accident. There's no evidence to say that everything I'm imagining going wrong will in fact go wrong. My biggest trick here is to instead imagine yourself 15 minutes after the successful arrival of the place of getting to where you needed to go that was starting to cause you anxiety. Yeah? 15 minutes after, what are you doing? You're sitting there, you're taking a few deep breaths, you're enjoying a cup of coffee before your meeting starts or before work starts for the day. So another thing to do in this moment, you've just called out the false evidence appearing real, you've called it out. Sit and take a few deep breaths and imagine that you make it to work and that everything is calm and that you've arrived wherever you're driving to in plenty of time, and your mind is programmed to think about the worst case scenario and everything going bad. So there's nothing to say that you cannot take your power back and instead imagine the best case scenario. Do a breathing exercise, take a few deep breaths, imagine the best case scenario, and then ask yourself, where's the anxiety now? I have used this tool many, many times over the past 5, 6 years, before going to events, before going to the supermarket during the pandemic, before going on that first picnic when we were getting out of lockdown, seeing people for the first time. I use it every year for Christmas lunch with my family. Anything that could trigger me, I use it. Fear is false evidence appearing real. What is real? Okay, it totally works. And I want to empower you to be able to use it too. Number 4, stay in the present moment. Allowing your mind to drift out too far in the future is typically what sparks the anxiety. So understanding this, I want you to get into the habit of practicing how to tame your mind by bringing it back to the present moment. Breathing techniques also help a lot with this. It's as simple as becoming the observer of your thoughts when they start to drift too far out into the future. So if you perhaps have a bit of anxiety around health appointments, so if you have a doctor's appointment coming up and it's starting to build anxiety within you, or an event coming up in, say, 3 months' time, and all the what ifs begin. What if this happens and what if that happens? If you have anxiety around these things, this is going to be really helpful for you. What you need to do is 100%, this is where what you think about, you bring about comes into this kind of energy. Instead of imagining it all going wrong, what I talked about before, imagining it going right, but not letting your thoughts drift out too far into the future. So you go, okay, well, if that's what is happening in 3 months' time, what are the facts today? What do I know today? I'm going to bring my thoughts back to today. I can't solve all those problems today because I don't know the facts of what the doctor's going to tell me in 3 months' time. So I'm going to take what I know today. Today, I know I'm really grateful that I have an appointment in 3 months' time to be able to find out what's going on. Breathing technique is going to help you. So the breathing technique that I love is all about helping you to calm the central nervous system. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to take a deep breath in and I want you to count to 4. So breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you pause for 1 second at the top of your lungs. And then you breathe out to the count of 6. So it's longer. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you repeat that 3 or 4 times to be able to calm your central nervous system. The trick also is as you're breathing out, I want you to purse your lips as if you're drinking through a straw, really, really slow. So breathing in, pause, and then breathing out. It takes your conscious awareness to the breath coming out of your lips so it can calm your central nervous system. It gives you something else to focus on. Instead of all those thoughts going too far out to the future, it brings your mind back to the present moment, back to today. It calms your central nervous system and it helps to alleviate that alarm system that's been triggered when anxiety starts to flow. So come back to today. What are the facts you know about the situation today? What can you do just for today to help you to take 1 step forward in this hour or this minute or this 15 minutes to help you to move forward, bringing your thoughts back to today? Not everything has to be solved or worked out today. You cannot solve the problem in the future by worrying about it right now. There's another hot tip for you. Bring it back to the present moment to help you to relieve your future fear and your anxiety. Number 5, we're getting to the end. Daily habits to build your resilience to fear. So how you begin and end your day matters, guys, especially if you are exhausted and you have an anxious mind. Meditation in the morning, even for as little as 3 to 5 minutes, is a great way to bring calm into your day before the chaos of the day begins. Guided meditation with music is great. If you don't have to sit in silence, say that to all the clients that I work with. This is not about pushing your thoughts away. This is about becoming the observer of your thoughts and being more in the present moment. You can even do it laying in bed. You don't have to be sitting in any position and you don't have to be a spiritual guru. The number one thing I want to share with beginners to meditation is that it's not about emptying your mind, okay? Through meditation, we learn to be okay with the thoughts coming and going. Ultimately, so that you can bring your attention back to the present moment. I also love journaling. If you might have seen my journal before, this is Learn to Thrive. I'm a big fan of morning journaling. It really helped me to reprogram my mindset from fear-based thinking by using affirmations every day. You've probably heard me talk about my journal before if you've been following me for a little while, but it's all about helping women reduce stress and anxiety. So journaling was really helpful for me because it gave my thoughts somewhere to go in the morning before the chaos of the day begins, so that I was reminded that no matter what happens in the day, I can do this. Before you spend the day thinking and expending all that worried energy. Even small things you can do to shift your anxiety is stop drinking coffee after 1 o'clock. It has a huge impact on sleep. Sleep has a huge impact on your anxiety. It's a bit of a loop when we talk about sleep. If you can get better sleep, then you have more resilience to stress and you have more resilience to your anxiety. Good sleep is a cure for so many things. I have a special morning and evening detox routine, which I teach all of my clients, which has a huge impact on daily life. If you want to know more about that, you can head to my website and check out the 7-day stress mindset detox, which is an online course which helps you to learn my morning and evening routine. Exercise is also really important too, guys. Research shows us that exercising your core has a positive feedback response to your brain that tells you and reminds you that I'm strong and I'm resilient and I can handle this. And I want you to remember that moving your body when anxiety is triggered is how your body is going to be able to flush through those stress hormones. So if your body is primed to run or fight something, then you need to move the body to be able to relieve those stress hormones and the anxiety. And in a way, help your body release those hormones. Because if you're sitting, it's hard because sometimes you're sitting or you're laying in bed and the hormones have nowhere to go. And the only way they can leave your body is if you're moving your body. So walking is great, swimming is great. If you can't walk or exercise because you're laying in bed, it's 11 o'clock at night, Then I have some stationary yoga poses. I filmed a reel on this on my Instagram that you can watch, and it's about yoga for stress relief. And there's 4 poses that I share that you can literally do laying next to your bed when your anxiety has been triggered at night to help calm your central nervous system. So those are my 5 anxiety relief tools. I'm going to share with you my screen again because I want to just recap on those things that I shared. So here we go. Oh, come on, work for me. Here we go. So we talked about number 1, thoughts can be changed. So I want you to practice catching that first negative thought before it spirals. Number 2, feelings are not facts. What is causing me to feel this way? Is it a fear or is it a fact? Number 3, fear is false evidence appearing real. I want you to call it out. Where is the evidence? Is this scenario set in stone? Is it real, or am I just imagining the worst possible case scenario happening? Number 4, I want you to come back to the present moment. Are my thoughts too far in the future? And bring it back to what I know today. And number 5, resetting your daily habits. Have I been practicing habits that calm my mind and fuel my body? Can I try a meditation, a breathing technique? Can I try some journaling to remove the thoughts out of my mind and get them onto paper? So I hope that you are feeling more empowered after learning about those 5 anxiety relief tools. And I'd love to know, share with me on social media, whether you have a different, I guess, viewpoint on how to tackle your anxiety now after what I've shared with you today. I would love to hear your experience and what one thing you're going to take away and apply today to be able to shift your anxiety and find relief from your anxiety. So I want to share with you now. So I promised that I would talk about further support to help you if you are looking for some one-on-one guidance to be able to find freedom from your anxiety. So this is the last item on the agenda, and we've got a few minutes left. So I'm really grateful that you're here, and I want to take time to share with you, for those of you who are interested in knowing how to work with me further, if you're sick of the grip that anxiety has on your life, and you're in the position where you want to try and stop fixing it on your own. Maybe you've tried some things before, but it just hasn't worked long term, and you're really looking for some guidance and specific coaching, so that would be really valuable. Maybe it sparked your interest to work with me and to understand more about how mindset coaching can have to help your life get back to thriving. So I've got a special program for you, which is called Freedom from Anxiety. And this is a short 3-session mindset coaching program where I work with clients, with you, one-on-one privately for 90 minutes a week for 3 weeks in a row. And we work on identifying the root cause of your anxiety. And I use a process called timeline therapy to release your anxiety and reprogram the unconscious part of your mind. I show you and teach you my morning and evening mindfulness routines to help you reduce daily stress that leads to anxiety. And I also give you my anxiety release technique. This is a number 1 support tool that I offer clients whenever in future, if ever, your anxiety is triggered after we have worked together. Within this program, you will get accountability and homework to be able to help move you forward between the sessions so that you embed the learnings and really create lasting change. So why is timeline therapy so powerful for anxiety? Basically, timeline therapy is the process that I have been trained in that helps to reprogram the unconscious part of your mind. And how it works is remembering the unconscious mind stores our beliefs. So around anxiety, our fear-based emotions, it is our fear-based experiences have been stored there and where our thoughts begin. So timeline therapy is a process where I walk you through to help take your mind off autopilot. So you become consciously aware of what's triggering anxiety, the root cause of the anxiety, so that you can reprogram, release it, and let it go. Healing your relationship with the first time you experienced fear, the first time you experienced the fear of the future, the fear of the unknown, the fear of uncertainty, and that need to control. We then replace the fear with a new empowering belief system, which is all around helping you to realize that you can, in fact, take over and take control of your mind. So how does it work? So remember that first thought that came up from the unconscious mind that was that negative, fearful thought? Well, now that there is no negative, fearful thought. I'm not scared of the unknown anymore. Instead, we've reprogrammed the mind to believe that you embrace the unknown, that I'm okay with uncertainty and I can release control and I am safe. So without that first thought being negative, with that first thought being empowered now, there is no trigger response in fear. The body doesn't react in flight, fight, or freeze mode, and therefore then your anxiety symptoms are no more. We treat the fear first to release the anxiety. I hope that makes sense. We treat the fear first to release the anxiety. We're not putting a Band-Aid on the symptoms. We're going to the root cause. We're going straight to the source and we're doing the work where it needs to be done first. So that is how timeline therapy works. It is absolutely fundamental, was life-changing for me in so many different ways, not only with anxiety, but in a longer program that I have, I also work through lots of different emotions and limiting beliefs, like the fear of failure, like the fear of criticism, and all those extra fears that caused my anxiety too. So I want to share with you a couple of testimonials from beautiful clients that I've worked with in the past. So Christine, I worked with, and she said that the 3 biggest learnings from the Freedom from Anxiety program was that she learned how to work through her anxiety and catch the thought process when it first starts to happen. She learned how to let go of her fearful thought when it's just a thought. And she can now notice her fear when it arises, acknowledge it and stop it, reassuring herself that everything is okay. She says that she feels so much lighter, like a weight has been lifted off her shoulders after all these years. And the best thing is knowing that anxiety can be switched off, that it won't be like this forever, and understanding where the main cause of her anxiety and fear was coming from. And she loved my new morning routine, which was absolutely fantastic. Amelia, I worked with as well in this 3-session anxiety program, life-changing for Amelia. She says that she loved my vibe and approach, and that it was a very comfortable space, which is what you need when trying to piece together your messy mind. Amelia said that the Freedom from Anxiety program, from doing this program, she got a better understanding of her anxiety, how her mind works. She found the tools to release and let go of old feelings and how to become the observer of her thoughts. Janelle had the pieces of that filled the gaps to finally let go of my anxiety. Amelia had worked with psychologists for many years, and it was one thing to be taught how the mind works, but it's another to actually have the tools and the steps to move you forward, which is what she had been searching for. So this coaching absolutely made a difference. She says they're simple yet effective techniques that I have continued to use over and over again every time something uncomfortable pops up, because they can be used in any scenario, which is what coaching is all about. Not only shifting in one area of your life, but it's almost like a domino effect of what you learn can help in so many other areas too. All right, so you're probably wondering, how much does this program cost, right? So you've heard about how amazing it is and what it includes, timeline therapy. So Freedom from Anxiety, this is a 3-session program where I work with you weekly for 90 minutes a week. It's $547. I feel like that is reasonably priced. I like to keep my prices so that they're available for the women who need it most. This is a special bonus offer that I'm going to also gift you, a limited time offer that is only available to the people who have watched this workshop replay. And what I'm going to gift you is an additional bonus of $50 off. So now that 3-session program with me to overcome your anxiety is $497. And you are also going to get a free Learn to Thrive journal sent to you so that you can find freedom from your anxiety and reduce that daily stress, okay? And all of it works in well together. So that is your special workshop bonus. And it's a limited time offer. to register, what you need to do to be able to get this bonus offer when you book your program. You'll find more information on the webpage that you are watching this replay on. I want you to book in, and at the payment at the very end, use the code workshop, and you will automatically be sent the journal, and you will also get $50 off this program. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at hello@janellebriggs.com, and we can set up a time to chat. You are going to get, with this special bonus, I mean, how good is this? And approximately $100 in extra value. You book the program, you start the date that you want to get started. So you select your start date, you get straight into my calendar to get it started using this code to help you to get those 2 special bonuses. As I mentioned, limited time offer. You'll know more about when it expires at the bottom of this webpage. So that's it. I'm so grateful for you being here, and I really hope that we are going to get to see each other again in one-on-one coaching, or at some stage. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm so grateful that you're here, that you watched all this information, that I'm able to share with you what I have learned, as well as further support. And if you are sick of the grip that anxiety has on your life and you're tired of trying to fix it on your own, then I got you, girlfriend. I'm here to help you, and I cannot wait to help you get started. So take care. I'm wishing you all the best, and I'd love to hear about your experience. So watch out for an email from me, and I'll talk to you soon.